Good morning, friends. So, today we are going to start our next project. Now, we are going to be working on that Roy Lichtenstein project. So, you guys have kind of looked through the PowerPoint that I left for you and looked at a lot of his artwork and the way that he uses almost like comic strip style art, right? And so he created a lot of images of people, women especially. He used the technique where he wanted those really flat colors. He used mainly primary colors, that red, yellow, and the blue. All right. And he created a lot of words in his artwork to help to express different emotions and things going on. And a lot of those words were what we call onomatopoeias. And an onomatopoeia is a word that makes a sound or sounds like something like crack, pop, zoom, zang. So there's so many onomatopoeias that you can use. So for our project, we are going to be coming up with your own onomatopoeia that you want to express and draw. Now, the goal for this project is to think about that onomatopoeia, that sound word that you have come up with, and then what you can use line-wise to help to express that sound. So for instance, if I'm thinking of the word drip, right, then I'm probably going to think more along the lines of using lots of curves, because when I think of drip, I think of water. And to me, water, the best way to show water is through those curved lines, those wavy lines. And so I would use more wavy lines than I would zigzag lines, right? Whereas that word pop reminds me maybe of a balloon popping and kind of the latex of that balloon kind of expanding out and exploding. And to me, that would come across much better through the use of zigzag lines and not wavy lines. Not that wavy lines would not be effective, but it just doesn't have that same effect of feeling like something is being torn apart as those really rigid zigzag lines would. So, your first goal is to come up with an onomatopoeia, all right? And to start brainstorming how you can use different layers, and this is very important. You must layer the background of your artwork, all right? So let me show you my example. So I have the example pop. Now you can see I have created my letters in block letters, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you a super easy way. So if you've never been able to make a block letter before, you're going to today. All right. And then I want you to look at the different layers I have. I chose to do pop in my red, okay? And then I did this layer with this zigzag line, kind of going around it. All right, and the goal for me was to really make this feel like something was exploding, popping open. All right, and from there, I created a few other layers. So you can see my layer that I did with my yellow, and those are just like single triangles. It makes it look like I have another layer coming out from behind that original zigzag line. All right, then I chose to do my next layer was this red layer here. I still have those points resembling that zigzag line, but this time I've added some curve to it. So just a different way of showing that kind of jaggedness. Then I did this cloud-like layer with my Ben-Day dots. And you will be using Ben-Day dots, just like Roy Lichtenstein did with every single one of his projects. So I have this kind of cloud layer, and almost like you've had this explosion and now there's almost maybe some smoke or something behind it. And then I have my final two little layers here with my red and blue, and just kind of finishing that off. All right, any area in the background so that I didn't have a lot of that white. Notice the only layer, I only left one singular layer solid white, and that was right around my letters. Now you don't have to leave anything white, but if you do choose to leave a layer white, you're only going to be leaving one of your layers white. Now for this project, you are only using 4 colors. Black, which is what you will trace everything in because Roy Lichtenstein used those really thick black outlines in all of his artwork. And then your 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. That is it. You are only using those primary colors along with black. All right. All of the lines you draw, you need to trace with that nice bold black outline. And at least one of your layers needs to be done in Ben-Day dots. Now, I want you to look very carefully at those Ben-Day dots. Notice mine are not super small. I did do them a little bit larger, which is fine. You don't have to spend a million years doing 5 million Ben-Day dots. So I made decent sized dots, and they're all in these nice straight rows. That's very important. The Ben-Day dots were meant to look machine-like they were created by a machine and not by hand. And so you want all of those Ben-Day dots to be put in a nice neat row. Using a ruler could be helpful here, all right, so that they go in that straight row. You don't want them to just be scattered all over the place because that is what we would call stippling, which is a way of showing value, not the Ben-Day dots. So it's not the same thing. So right now, start by coming up with your onomatopoeia and then start brainstorming on a piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper, what that would look like. So this is going to be your sketch. You want to do a sketch first before you start your final project. That way you can kind of iron out all the kinks and the things that you like versus the things that you don't like. You can decide what colors you want to use where you want that layer of Ben-Day dots and things like that. Now, before you get started, let me show you that little trick I wanted to show you with block letters. So block letters can be difficult to do. You have to really think about the edges and how to make that a little bit more 3D, if you will. But there's a super easy way. If you take a pencil, I'm using a pen, but if you take a pencil and you just write a letter. So for instance, if I was going to write the letter G, I'm simply going to write the letter G on my paper, just like I normally would. And again, I want to do this in pencil because technically I'm going to erase this G. Now, once you've done that G, and I'm going to use a marker so you can see the difference in the layer. What you're going to do is you're just going to outline. So I start on one of the edges with a line, and I'm going to outline around the G, staying a little distance away. I'll show you halfway through. See that? And then go all the way around. And you're just outlining. So then you would erase that interior G, that original G that you drew, and you are left with a perfect block letter. You can do that with any letter. So let's say I was going to do the letter B, because a B has that kind of interior part to it. So I have my letter B. Same thing, I'm going to start by tracing the outside around my B. So I have that, but if I were to erase this, then it just looks like this big kind of odd curve shape. So I also need to trace the inside here by drawing what looks like 2 D's. And there's my B. If I erase that center, I have my perfectly drawn block letter B. So again, you can use that for any letter that you want to do. Draw the letter, carefully trace around it, making sure you're staying a little ways away from that interior letter the entire time, and you're golden. You have perfect block letters. All right, so come up with your onomatopoeia, start your sketch, and then you are going to get started from there on drawing your final. Now, I'm not going to be walking you through how to draw this because you're coming up with your own, and yours is not going to look like mine. All right? Instead, you need to come up with layers. I want you to have no more than 10 layers, but at least 3 layers for your project. You have to have at least 3 different layers of different types of lines or the same kind of lines. You can do zigzag lines multiple times in different spots. All right? But at least 3 layers, no more than 10. You must use all 3 of your primary colors. You must trace everything in black. All right? And you have to use Ben-Day dots. Your Ben-Day dots can be done in any of your 3 primary colors, but you must include them somewhere in your artwork. And then remember, no more than 1 of your layers can be left white. All right? Now, I know that's a lot. So if you need to go back and replay those instructions again, do it as many times as you need to. But I cannot wait to see these. Remember, you're coming up with your own onomatopoeia. Make a list if you need to of as many different sound words as you can think of, and then choose your favorite. Some of my favorites: pop, zing, zoom, crackle, drip. So those are just a few of my favorites, but there are tons and tons that you could come up with. And then again, think about the way lines can be used to emphasize and really explain what that sound would almost look like if you could see the sound versus just hear it. All right, and I cannot wait to see the amazing artworks that you guys create when you are done. Have fun, be creative, and work neatly. Remember, it is not a race to get done first. All right? Put your hardest work into this. And I can't wait to see them. Have fun, guys.